Hello students, in the previous lectures we had already discussed the previous part of this, how you are going to be control the cost. Right now in this class we are going to be understand the concept of the prioritizing, how we are going to be arrange the task based on to my previous calculation, how we can control the different options related to the cost or my task, and then we will try to be understand the next part of this, how this change is going to be happen to my project. So let us see how this prioritizing and monitoring works in my project. So here in this slide we are going to be discuss the concept of monitoring that are for my some type of activities. So if I take the example, the first one is the critical path activity. So what do you mean by the critical path? We had already understand from my previous chapters कि critical path is nothing, this is just the path where there is no float or where there is delay is not possible, and that particular is known as my critical activity, and these set of activity from start to end is known as my critical path. These set of activity from start up till end of the project. So we can define कि this is the activity. If we delay, definitely my whole of the project is get delayed. So we need to be take care of these set of activities. The next thing is activity with no free float. So what do you mean by this? कि these are those activity, if these are get delayed, so my overall project is get delayed. A project with no free float means delay these following activities, although the project date may not be, the delivery date may not be get threatened, but these are the those type of activity. Activity with less than the specified float, so means these are the activity with there is a float but the float is not too much. So if these activity are taking more time than my estimates, so definitely these can become the part of my critical activity, and my critical path is going to be get changed because of these set of activities. High risk activity that we had already learned while calculating my standard deviations in previous chapter, कि these are those set of activities in which we are calculating how much we get deviated from my actual. So these are the risk oriented activity. There are certain activities to whom we call कि these are using the critical resources. So these critical resources are those set of activities which are available for a limited period of time, or they need the resources, or they may be get delayed, and this may be become unavailable or for my project itself. So this way we are going to be prioritize. Now this particular slide actually uh, conceptualize me related to the change, this getting back onto the track. If something is get delayed, how we are again matching with that particular plan itself. The first thing is renegotiate the deadline. So we are going to be find out which are the uh, important one, to that we important part of that project that we are going to be deliver onto the time to the client, and maybe there are certain less valued one part that can be delayed and can be delivered later on for that particular activities. Try to shorten the critical path. So what do you mean by this? Shorten the critical path means we are trying to get the thing done more quickly, and how this can be possible? This is only possible if we are going to be add more resources, more staff to my project. So examples are given work overtime. So maybe adding staff or adding more working hours means we are spending more times for doing that particular work. Reallocate the staff. So some of the staff, some of the activities where those peoples are working that are on time, or there may be a load time, and we can switch that staff to some of the critical which are already get delayed, and we can reach, we can develop on time. So this may be the another alternatives. Why in more staff? So sometimes we are going to be at higher, we are going to be switch some of the staff from another project to this particular one, or a new type of staff. But this is not a totally new कि we are going to recruit some people. This is not a recruitment type of, but this is just a switching type of scenario. Another one, option, reconsider activity dependency. So what do you mean by this reconsidering? We are allowing the activity to overlap, often the increase in risk. So this may be the quality shortfalls. So we are going to be uh, doing in that way. Split the activities. So maybe we are dividing the activity into the parts, and some of the parts we had completed right now. If the delay is possible, we can take it later on. So this may be the another options to come back onto the track. What do you mean by this? Next, exception planning. So exception planning means some changes could affect. So these are all the changes which are going to be affect my project. So there may be one of the case the users are going to be changed. The users are going to be get affecting my this whole of the project. Then we have two designs. Had design while my planning. What are the exceptions for them? Business cases, some of the business maybe get changed. The business cases means the task, the set of activities. So these set of activities is only designed for my particular business case. To realize one of the business case, one of the tasks, we are going to be define the small set of activities. So right now how these are going to be get affected, and we need to be define what are the exceptions in that case if the business case are going to be get modified. Changes may be related to delivery date. As I had already explained, delivery date is nothing, this is just the date when we are going to be end my project, and this may be get launched. So this may be going to be get to change. Another one is the scope of the project. So scope, initially we are saying this particular part is going to be get covered only up till this limit, and right now this may be get increased to some another part of the business, and this may be known as the scope for my project. Cost is another type of things that maybe get changed depending upon to how much business case is changed, get reduced, or so in all these cases we need to be design the exceptional report, and these exceptions are going to be handled if some changes are there in my project. Exception plan also having the different stages, and these stages are the first one stage is nothing, this is just to write the exception report for all those who are going to be contribute to my projects. This may be the project board members, and they are going to be define that exception report. They are going to be explain the set of problems why this exceptions need to be get handled, or how this is get handled, or they are going to be define what are the different ways by which this particular exception can be get resolved. So once this may be the first stage, the second stage is nothing, right now the sponsors are going to be select one of the option from that, one of the alternative from that. Why they are going to be accept that particular one, why they are taking that depends upon to the decision of that board members confirmations. Project manager produce exception plan. Now the manager's responsibility, they are going to be show what is the exception plan in this scenario. This can handle whatever the exception they had choose right now. Exception plans once drafted by the project manager, then it is get again reviewed, and it may be get rejected, it may be get accepted by the board members, and or to whom we call the sponsors. So this is the exception plans different stages. Now the change control, as you understand from the term itself, how we are going to be incorporate a change into my existing plan, into my change project itself. So first of all, we had already learned this in a software engineering subject, configuration management. So in configuration management we start from particular change items. So we call these are the change items, and based on to that change items there is a CCB who actually take that control ki whether this change is fruitful in my project or not. So right now how we are going to be do that change, so let us going to be discuss with this particular options. Identify the items. So first of all we are again identify what are the things that need to be changed right now. No, they are needed to be defined how these are going to be get reflected in my projects. The management actually having all the alternatives view by which this change can be get reflected, but they are not destroying whatever available initially. So this means they have the original copy and they may be design an alternative copy how this is going to be get reflect the change into your projects. They are also defining ki how this change having the different types of methods get reflected in my project. Also they are going to be reflect how the record are get changed and how this particular change is going to be get reflected into the part of that plan itself. Now these are the different steps by which we are going to be define the whole process of that change control. If I talk about these 2 points, first and second, so if you go through this, so this shows one or the more user might perceive the need for the change. So means this is from the point of view, the user point of view. The second point, user management decide that the change is valid. So this may be the management decided or this may be decided by the user itself. The user community or this may be the managers start thinking related to a change that is deemed or desired for one of the part or for one of the user group. This options may be going to be get a change. If I talk about second and third, so second is the change that is suggested by the management. The third one is the developers. Then they are going to be define how this change. So this part of process is often involves the multi-part form. Initially the users are going to be represent that thing, and later on this is taken by the management how this changes get reflected, and now the developers actually take the responsibility how this is get developed, how this changes get reflected. Now the fourth point, the development management. So they are taking that control of that change from as a board, and now the users uh, suggestions or whatever the change they had suggested, that is developers are going to be represent the things with the different types of decisions key how this can be get reflected onto the another points of this process control are this is the confirmation type of for the control release itself. One or more developers are authorized to make the copy of the components, so means they are just giving the authorizations how this change is get released. Copy modified, so this means copy is not directly modified, so this is just given delivered to the customer to get it assessed, and after the assessment this may be get reflected as a complete change, but still they are maintaining the previous copy of that, or we can say the original copy of that particular one itself. And the last step of this process is when the user are get satisfied, then only they are going to be authorized how this configuration actually going to be get updated. So this configuration is nothing, this is just a change item that is actually suggested, and now this is going to be get reflected. With this your this chapter monitoring and control, change control is completed. I hope you are able to understand this chapter. Thank you for watching this all.